In this next video, let's talk about the GPT builder or the ChatGPT AI agent environment that OpenAI has provided within the ChatGPT interface. Essentially, the idea here is that as you have seen before, as we went along different videos and we learned about prompt structure and prompting techniques, there are a lot of instances where we teach ChatGPT a lot of different stuff before we can ask it to write the output for us. We provided it multiple examples. We provided it with input information from different blogs and articles to enhance its knowledge base, to enhance the instructions, to enhance its writing style so that it can write and provide us the output, whether it's English or code, based on our specific instructions. Now, if you're using AI to scale our work or business, our homeworks and assignments, we might have to do the same task over and over again. For instance, let's go back to the example where I was asking ChatGPT to create a headline for me in a specific format where it's short, concise, and ends with an emoji. Now, let's say I write 2 to 3 blogs every day. Now, every time I need to do this, I need to train ChatGPT on a couple of examples before I can ask for a new headline on a specific topic. One way I can get around it is I can save my chat in ChatGPT so that I can go to the same chat and I can give it a new passage and it gives me the new headline. That's a workaround that will work in most cases, but sometimes OpenAI also archives your old chat. So maybe not the best long-term solution available. So to solve for this specific problem where you don't need to train ChatGPT, fine-tune it over and over again based on your own input set, based on your own instructions, they provided a different environment where you can teach ChatGPT on a set of instructions and a knowledge base. Every time you ask a question from this specific GPT, it will always go through the instruction set that was provided and the knowledge base that was provided before answering the question. Now let's use the same example to understand the concept before we dive into it. We had a blog and we wanted a title and we had a couple of examples for it. So first, I can feed in the examples, example 1, input, output, example 2, input, output, example 3, input, out. And I can save that within that specific ChatGPT builder instance and I call this blog title creator GPT for me. Now, every time I use this AI agent, all I need to do is provide a passage and it knows exactly what needs to be done. It will come back with the specific headline with an emoji exactly the way I asked. So that's what AI agents are in a nutshell. They're specified, fine-tuned, customized versions of ChatGPT which have been trained to do one specific job. That's it, by using a set of instructions and a knowledge base. Now, let's dive into it and see how do you actually create one by creating a very simple GPT. If I want to create a new GPT, I can go to Explore GPTs and then from the right top here, I can click on Create. When I click on Create, this option opens up where now I have two different where this option opens up where now I have two different screens essentially. I can type here, although I don't have the option to type here because I haven't defined my GPT yet. Now here is where I can create my GPT. So let's say I want to create a startup advisor. Let's say I want to create a startup advisor similar to Sam Altman. Now the first thing GPT will do is it will ask us to come up with a name and then an image, and then a set of instructions, and then any files or input files that I want to use as knowledge base. Once I have provided these 4 informations, it will store this information and I can specifically start playing around with this ChatGPT. How about, so it comes back and says, how about calling this ChatGPT startup Sage? I like the name, okay. And I will confirm that, okay, I like the name. Next, it will generate a profile picture for this specific GPT, because that's one of the binary requirements for creating one. So let's go on and get one for ourselves. I got the image, so I'm just going to say, okay. Next, it's going to ask me for a set of instructions. So I'll provide a set of instructions to the GPT on what exactly it is supposed to do. So I would say your job is to provide startup advice to new founders similar to Sam Altman does. It understood the instruction. I will also add here, just for my own specific use case, don't be wordy, answer in precise bullets only. So I will add another layer of instructions here because it suits me really well. I will say don't be wordy and always list in precise bullet points so that I don't end up with very, very long answers. So every time you see the circle moving around it and it says updating GPT, it's essentially updating the instructions or the knowledge base based on the prompt that we have provided as it's modifying the AI agent that we have created. Next, I would also say that I want to provide a knowledge base. So essentially a slide or a PDF file that contains some sort of knowledge base environment for GPT to rely on. So for example, over here, I will say for product market fit, refer to this specific example. So anytime a question arises from the product market fit, it will open the example and use this as a knowledge base. So I can click here and upload a file. Let's assume this is a file that I want to go with, and I would say add this to the knowledge base. Now this is a random file I uploaded, so don't be bothered with that. But if you upload a regular file, it will understand and do the job exactly the same way. So now our GPT builder is kind of ready and we can start testing it on the screen on the right. I can give it a prompt saying about a specific startup that I'm working with, and I can ask advice from the startup advisor, Sam Altman. So now I'm going to ask a very, very specific startup related question to get advice to see how well does our AI agent work in this case. I'm going to say, I run a B2C SaaS subscription business, but most of my customers are freemium model. So they're using the freemium version of the tool similar to ChatGPT 3.5, and they're not upgrading to the premium version. In this case, that would be ChatGPT 4. How do I get my customers to move from the freemium version to the premium version? And it goes on and gives me the exact sort of things that I should look at and the bullet points talking about what sort of changes can I make in my business to be able to shift from the freemium to the premium version. Now, if I like this GPT, I can click on create on top here and it would get saved. Now, if I only want it for my personal uses, I can do only me or anyone with link, or I can publish it to the GPT App Store. And we'll talk about this a bit later, and I can also choose the category that I'm working with here. So here I'll talk about education. So if I click share, this GPT will be published under my name, under my heading as a GPT builder that I own on the App Store. Now I can view this GPT by clicking on it, and this will open up a specific instance of this GPT Startup Sage created by Saad A, Concise Startup Insights. So that's a very basic example of how AI agents work and how to create a GPT builder. The next thing that I want to take you through is to show you how to explore different GPTs that have been created by the community. So essentially, the idea is similar to an app store. OpenAI has created a GPT store where people can create their own GPTs and make them available to public to use. Now, all of them are free right now, but the way the technology is progressing, I won't be surprised and shocked, similar to App Store, if you have these GPTs charging you a premium of $10 per month or $10 to download and use the app or something of that sort. So if you are looking for startup ideas specifically related to SaaS environment, this might be a good thing for you. You can fine-tune GPTs to perform a specific task as per your own requirements and get them uploaded onto the GPT App Store for the world to use, and you might be able to monetize from it in a couple of months once the monetization comes out. Now let's go through some of the GPTs that have already been created, and I will show you what are the categories that are some of the most popular. And let me walk you through some of the most popular ones. So if you look here, there are a couple of different categories that OpenAI has come up with. DALL-E will be the one that works with the image. The writing one talks about the different writing ones. It will humanizing the content, copywriting, SEO, cover letter, CVs. Now, if I click on each one, any one of these, I can see the number of ratings that it has. So for instance, this one has 256 plus ratings and they have rated it 4.2, which is not bad for writing GPT. And it has almost 1 million conversations already done from it. Now, if I compare it with a different one, this one has a 3.9 rating. So I would prefer using this one for writing. Now, my favorite one for writing is called automated writing, and it comes pretty close to automated writer, and it comes pretty close to my own writing style when I train it well. So do explore these GPTs, try them out and see which one works best for you. And obviously the ratings and all are very inside and you have to click on each one of them to figure out what the rating is. But over time, this will improve. So essentially, also, you can also check out what is the ranking of this GPT to make sure that you're using the right one. Now, productivity, Canva, PDF, Weed, which is a video tool, drawing diagrams, Excel GPT will give you a lot of tips on how to use Excel. Research and analysis, GPTs are connected to different databases. So this is connected to the consensus database with more than 200 million academic articles already in there that you can basically call in and use them. Scholar GPT is more like Google Scholar, which has all the peer-reviewed articles, academic articles there. Finance Wizard will have specific information about finance. Web browser will be like Bing, which will help you browse the web for specific use cases. Programming one is my favorite ones because I work on a lot of programming tasks specifically related to data analysis and creating basic GUIs for my dashboards at work. So I have been trying out a couple of these. The Python one is pretty good, rated at 4.2. It's the second best with 400k plus conversations, and it provides pretty decent Python code for you if you want. Now, you can also find GPTs which are specifically trained for a specific language. For instance, this one will be an expert in SQL. This one is pretty good at generating a website code. Auto Expert is specifically for developers. And this one is specifically taught on Java, HTML, and C++ code. So depending on your use case, figure out what is the highest rated GPT, what is its overall ranking, how many people are using it, what does the review says. And based on this, you can try a couple of GPTs and come up with the one that specifically suits the task. This is something that a lot of people are not focusing on. Instead of coming up with better and better prompt structures, better and better way prompting techniques, there is a much easier way of getting a better output by finding the right GPT that applies to the task at hand for you in the moment. So if you are a paid version, I would highly suggest you to explore GPTs and mark down the ones that can do the job the way you want them to exponentially increase your productivity. Now let's go back to creating GPTs and let me tell you a faster way of creating GPTs and some additional functionalities that are available. For instance, when we looked at some of these GPTs, such as the consensus one, it has access to a massive database of academic scholars. So if you want to build a similar GPT which has access to a specific database, how do you do that? That will be done through the APIs, and that's what we're going to look at next. So if I go back to create on top and I'm back to the same screen, so now this time I'm going to create on configure here and I get a list of options. So anything that we did in the create chat with the help of the input prompt, I can do the same thing in configure. I can come up with a name, I can use DALL-E to create an image, I can add a description for the GPT, and then I can add a very long list of instructions for the GPT if I want here on exactly what I wanted to do. I can add a few conversation starters here on what do I want my ChatGPT to start with as the options for the input prompts. And then finally, here is your upload files, which allows you to upload up to 20 files, 500 MB each. And lastly, you can choose the capabilities for the GPT premium version that you want this GPT to have. For instance, do you want it to have access to the code interpreter? Do you want it to have access to image generation? Do you want it to have access to web browsing feature? And lastly, for advanced coders and developers who actually want to create GPTs which are fine-tuned and that can access different databases, we have the actions option. You can create a new action which would require an API authentication or an auth authentication, and then you can add a schema of your choice, or you can import one based on the schema that you've been working with on a specific API. Now, there are different examples here. If you look at the weather JSON example, that will give you a very basic brief idea of how to call the weather API for the latest weather set. Lastly, it also provides you different options here for what sort of different API calls you can make and what are the paths that you will use, and also define a privacy policy using the website or link that you want to provide. Now, this might be too advanced for a crash course in ChatGPT, so I'm going to skip it for later, and we'll touch it a little bit when we talk about OpenAI APIs and OpenAI Playground in the course. Next, let me try and give you a few example cases on when to use GPT Builder to create your own specific AI agent and how would that process work. So let's say I run my own website where I sell my courses apart from Udemy, which is called Mr.Chatgpt.ca. And to be able to organically generate traffic, I need a lot of SEO work. I need to post a lot of blogs. I need to post on LinkedIn. I need to post on YouTube. So my idea here is that can I create an AI agent that is trained on all the data for Mr.Chatgpt.ca so that every time I have a new idea, I don't need to train the ChatGPT again and again. I can go in there, mention my idea, and based on the knowledge base and the instructions we have already provided, it's able to write in my style and give me the blog post or the LinkedIn post or the Insta post that I'm looking for in that case. So with that being the idea, let's go create one for us. So the first thing I'll say is the name will be Mr.Chatgpt content creator. Image, I can use a random image. Let's add one. Now in the instruction set, what I will say is your job is to create content for Mr.Chatgpt.ca website. This is an online education website that sells pre-recorded courses to students and professionals across the world in English language. And then I will mention in the instructions that I've added a bunch of different articles in the knowledge base section, which I've essentially uploaded them here, which you can rely on when you're writing blog, understand my writing style and write according. In the attached knowledge base, you will find examples of blogs, you will find examples of LinkedIn posts, and you will find examples of captions and tags that we use on Instagram. So 3 different sort of examples that I've already provided. So I'm getting into that few short scenario now, if you remember from our from the prompt and technique section. Essentially, I've given it an example and I've already trained in on few short examples. Next, I can close this, open a new instance of the ChatGPT, and I can say, I want to write a new blog post on Sora AI, which is the latest video large language model released by OpenAI recently. In the link below is a blog post that OpenAI released on their official website about Sora. Using this and the knowledge base, write a LinkedIn post and a blog post in my writing style. Please ensure to follow the format that I have outlined in the instruction section on how to write each one. Why did I say that? Let's go back to the instruction. Here I said, I want my blog post follow HTML tags, and I said my LinkedIn post should not be more than 100 words. Keep it concise and precise. So pro tip here as well, if you think that your GPT builder that you have built is not utilizing the knowledge base, write it in your prompt. So specifically I said here, using your knowledge base, because I know sometimes it will mess up and create the output without referring to the knowledge base files that I've provided. Specifically mentioning that here tremendously significantly improves the output quality. And now I get my blog post and the LinkedIn post that I've been looking. I can also say I'm going to add an Insta video of Sora AI and how it works. Can you give me the relevant tags and a caption for the video based on the knowledge base? And it will come back and give me a few examples here. Now this is extremely powerful. Train GPT builders for specific use case. Just like I created one for Mr.Chatgpt content creator, I can create one for writing resumes and cover letter based on a few short examples, so that every time I'm applying for a new job, all I need to do is copy paste the job description or even the link of the job description and ask GPT to modify my resume or the cover letter accordingly, proofread it with it, and then boom, I apply for a new job. If you're applying for jobs, writing cover letters and updating resumes for each and every position is a nightmare. So this way you might be able to hit a lot more jobs than you could have done it without. Plus, I can also modify it to say based on the job role. Plus, I can also add another layer here by saying that based on the job description and the company, give me ideas of what sort of job titles should I search for on LinkedIn to find the relevant people, and also draft a message to send them for a coffee chat request, so that I can increase my chances of referrals and recommendations and get hired. So extremely powerful thing. I can also use AI agents for specific coding projects. Let's say I have this massive data set from Kaggle. It's a Kaggle competition and I want to participate in this competition and get the code written from ChatGPT. I can essentially take the instructions from the Kaggle, post it in the instruction. I can take all the input files that are provided in that specific one and post it in the knowledge base. And then I can provide it as additional instructions, say that, okay, our job is to solve this Kaggle competition. Let's go through this together step by step. I will ask you specific questions and you provide me the answers. And literally for some of the easy competitions on Kaggle, it will take less than 2 to 3 prompts to actually solve the entire data science problem for us, assuming that the file size of the input files was less than 500 MB. So an extremely powerful tool if you're doing specific cases. Create GPT builders for those. It will tremendously improve your productivity and the time taken to achieve the right. As we explore GPT builders, there is one specific example that I want to show you exactly how it works using the external database. So let's say I selected the Instacart plugin here, which essentially allows me to connect to the Instacart website and order groceries directly from there. There are similar plugins here for Expedia that will allow you to book flights, and for DoorDash that will allow you to order the food. So now looking at the Instacart example, I can start with a very basic prompt saying that I'm hosting 10 friends, and for that I need to make 10 steak for dinner tonight. Can you please list down all the ingredients that I would need? Assume that I have nothing at home that I would need for cooking the steak. And it comes back with a list of ingredients. This much we did before as well in one of our previous sections when you were going through the discussion and the brainstorming part in the prompt structure. Now, this is where the AI agents become extremely powerful. I can say, can you build me an Instacart for the ingredients that you have listed above? And it will do exactly what I asked for. The plugin loads up and it gets me the list of ingredients that I need to order. And I can click on this button and I can go and see the cart items that are there in my cart already that have been added. This will save me at least 1 to 2 hours of time from getting the list of ingredients to finding each and every item available on a grocery store's website and then adding them to my cart. Now, all I need to do is make sure all the items that I need are there and it's not missing anything, or if there are any substitutions that I need to look for, and place my order in just 2 clicks. So essentially powerful in terms of increasing your personal productivity, work productivity for new businesses. So do give it some time and explore the GPTs, because if you can find the right GPTs to do the job for you, you might not need to spend too much time in prompt engineering because you have those fine-tuned GPTs already available.